But I looked in the bowl and there was like 6 or so parasites.
Oh
They
my
literally looked like
gosh.
garden worms. And I'd never seen anything like that come out of me before. And like my energy literally went from like a 3 to like a 7. For 8 years I was in pain, and then on that day it went away. If you eat carbs from nature, particularly fruits, I challenge everybody to go and just eat fruit. Do it for a week. Do it for 3 days, but do it for a week. If you put on weight, I'll give you $100.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Alignment Academy. It's your host, Kristen, and if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Alignment Academy is a school for your soul to grow and evolve. We talk about all things manifestation, inner child work, quantum physics, healing, spirituality, entrepreneurship, health, now health. We talk about a lot of different things, basically anything that just kind of comes into my field. And I've just been taking you guys on the journey for 2+ years now. And if you guys know anything about Alignment Academy, it is that I am super picky with my guests and that I only bring on someone that I just actually want to learn from and I know can help you guys too. So you guys know I have been a little bit on my health journey, actually a lot on my health journey. I'm going to completely own it. I've been a lot on my health journey in the last over a year, from parasite cleanses to liver flushes to water fasts to coconut water fasts, lymphatic drainage. Like I have just been down the rabbit hole of so many different things. And a couple weeks back, I told you guys all my water fasting experiences, my coconut water fasting experiences. I told you how I healed my herniated discs. If you're interested in any of that, then feel free to go listen to the water fasting episode. But what I didn't tell you is that I had someone helping me through my water fast, not my first one, but my second one. I had someone helping me prep. I had someone helping me with the fast and then helping me break the fast in a really great way. And he's an expert. So today we're going to have Sinclair Fisher Gray on the podcast. He is a fasting and detoxification expert. He has been coaching clients for over 10 years and he has done several fasts himself. Maybe he can tell you guys about those. And he knows a lot about a lot. So without further ado, welcome, Sinclair.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. So I know you have done a lot more fasting than the normal person. So can you just start by telling us all the fasts that you've ever completed in your life?
Yeah. Well, the normal person I'd say has done 0. So I've probably done a lot more than 0. All the fasting I've done, well, I've been doing fasting for 10 years. Mm-hmm. We can get into why and how that eventuated, but I've been doing it for 10 years and I've done 3 20-day water fasts, a 40-day water fast, 2 20-day juice fasts. I've done multiple short dry fasts of like 1, 2, 3 days. Dry fasting, for people that don't know, is no food or water.
Wow.
You don't touch water. And I've done a 6-day dry fast. I've been a real kind of, I don't know what the right word is, like voyager in a sense, like just tried whatever I felt called to do, I went and did it. And of course I did my research. I've read lots of books. I've obviously, we'll get into it, made documentaries about it. And, I do my research and I do my best to understand it, but the best experience and the best learning comes from the doing part. So I knew that and I knew I had to just kind of go and do it. So I've done a lot. I've learned a lot. I've been working with a lot of people over the years, sharing my experience, my knowledge. It's just like somehow it's just become not only my passion, but my job, kind of my life. Like just on my way here, I was leaving a cafe and as I'm walking out, this lady's like, "Oh, are you Sinclair from the Fasting the Healer Within or whatever?" And I was like, "Yes, but I've got to go." So anyway, it was just, it's bizarre. I don't know how I ended up here, but here we are.
So someone who has done that much fasting, I have to say there has to be like an underlying drive or something that happens in their life to put you on that journey. So where did this begin? Like walk us through, what were you doing before this? How did it happen? I want to know everything.
Yeah. Well, so for me, it was an injury. But I think there's always got to be some kind of either a catastrophe, a rock bottom moment, or like someone's just like seeking some kind of higher like evolution. But for me, I certainly wasn't the latter. For me, it was an injury. I was 20 at the time when I first got injured, not when I fasted, but when I first got injured. And I was a pretty basic, run-of-the-mill guy back home in Sydney, Australia. And my priorities were like alcohol and partying and studying and just like having fun, and like really wasn't considering my health much at all. And sure enough, I got injured, and it was a really basic injury that should not have happened, but my body was just on the brink. So that injury should have been a quick healing, but it turned out being quite a long journey, a journey that takes me up till this day. But really, like, it ended up taking 8 years for me to discover fasting, because in that time I was exploring all the sort of mainstream things. Like I was changing my diet. I tried paleo and I tried a little bit of carnivore. I was really focused on what I was putting into my body, thinking that I was going to eat the right thing that was going to make me better and was going to heal me. And obviously food's amazing and food is medicine, but it took me 8 years to discover that what I really needed was detoxification. There's a famous quote by, I believe, Hippocrates, that he says, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. But there's a second part to it that nobody really hears, and it's, but to eat when you're sick is to feed the sickness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So meaning, like, if you're sick, you shouldn't eat, really.
Wow.
And I learned from one of my mentors, Tyler Tolman, all about it. I went to Bali, did a retreat with him, learned about fasting for the first time. And, like when you're just ready to hear something, I 8 years, like not really much had changed. I was still in pain. Back hadn't healed. I'd probably got like a few other little things that I was then dealing with. And I was just like, man, I'm really struggling for answers here. And then this thing appeared, fasting appeared. And I remember him talking about how animals in nature fast, how, fasting is as old as humans. It's our inbuilt healing mechanism. We've been doing it for as long as we've been around, basically, because obviously food hasn't always been as simple as going to a supermarket and just grabbing whatever you need and going to the checkout. Like, we would have to work quite hard for our food at times. And there were times where we didn't have food. So we would feast and then we would famine. And our bodies have evolved to not only survive through famine, but have evolved to heal and regenerate and thrive. So, like fasting just does so much for us, and I've learned so much about it. And that first fast I did was shortly after going to Tyler's retreat. I ended up doing a 19-day water fast. It was only supposed to be 7 days, but my visa application, I was doing some visa work. I was in Mexico. I was all by myself. I was in an Airbnb in Mexico, and I'd only told Tyler, my mum, and maybe like one friend. So like not even my boss knew that I was fasting. And my mum's like blowing up my phone constantly. And, so anyway, I ended up going a full 19 days, but by day 10, I remember waking up thinking like, I don't know if I can do this. This is really hard. Like, I'm really struggling. And I was like really fatigued. I was barely able to move around. Like, I was okay. I knew I was okay. I felt safe, but like I was just really struggling. Turns out I was going through what everybody goes through. But I did an enema that morning because I was this close to breaking it. And I remember doing an enema and I had such a big release, but I looked in the bowl and there was like 6 or so parasites.
Oh,
they literally looked like garden worms. And I'd never seen anything like that come out of me before. And I remember looking at that, just like literally just like inspecting it. Like, what the hell is that? Like, how has that come out of my body?
Whoa.
But then I noticed after standing up and moving around a bit, I was like, oh, wow, I feel way better. And like my energy literally went from like a 3 to like a 7.
Wow.
And I thought, I'm good. Like, I can continue. So I was just totally inspired on that fast. I was so happy to finally feel like something was working. And by the end of the fast, I felt better. That's the other thing. I felt better after the enema, but also I noticed my pain had gone away.
Whoa.
Literally on that day. I tell this story all the time because it was so remarkable, because for 8 years I was in pain, and then on that day it went away.
Whoa.
It was crazy. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep going. I had no real end game in plan, but then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I got to get back to work. Text my boss, was like, hey, by the way, I haven't eaten in 3 weeks and I'm coming in pretty hot. So when he, that was funny when he finally saw me. But yeah, like that kind of really began the journey, because I learned, okay, like you can do a fast, you can heal a lot, which I did. But what do you do now? Like, what's the end game? What's the post-fast game? And how you break a fast is arguably as important as how you do the fast or how you prepare for the fast. Like all of it is so important. For the obvious reason is if you go back to the old version of yourself that was eating poorly, living out of alignment, living, stressed and mentally and emotionally out of balance, then of course these things are going to happen again. And unfortunately, that's what happened, actually. I went from being completely pain-free for about a month or two to having quite a poor relationship with food, which is another big lesson for me. We could talk about that as well. To then all my issues coming back. And I was like, shit, like
19 days for nothing.
Yeah. I was like, damn, I got to go back to the drawing board here. Like what?
Wow.
But immediately I was just like fasting brain. I was like, what worked? The human brain goes, what's worked?
Right.
I'll go do that again. So I literally just started planning my next fast, and I planned to do another 20-day fast. Oh no, I wanted to do a 40-day fast, and I was talking about getting my brother roped in with me. And he was like, and then we decided, well, instead of 40 days, we'll do 20 days of water, 20 days of juice. And we ended up making a documentary about it. So the documentary is called Fasting the Healer Within. It's on YouTube and Amazon Prime and a few other places around the world. And that's basically that fast. I thought it was just going to be exactly the same. I thought I'll do what I did the fast before. I'll get the same result. Copy paste, easy does it, you know. But it wasn't the case. Turns out we were in a different environment. I was under a different sort of mental and emotional stress during that fast. We're making a documentary. Literally had camera crews turning up to film us. Like, first fast was just me, total inspiration, total peace, nothing to worry about. Didn't speak to anybody, didn't have social media, none of that.
Now you're having to use your brain power on the daily.
Yeah.
During a 40-day fast.
Exactly.
That's a lot.
Brain power, and also like it wasn't coming from a place of like inspiration anymore. It was coming from a place of like, oh, I've got to make sure this gets done and this gets done and the cameraman gets that thing. And so how you go through a fast, how your nervous system is during a fast it's everything. Like if your nervous system is at rest and at peace, it'll turn on the parasympathetic state, nervous system, which is where all healing happens.
Yeah.
If you're not, you'll be in the sympathetic and you'll be in some level of fight or flight.
Yeah.
So that was kind of me on the second fast, and it was a good fast, but didn't really get the result I was looking for. I was like, damn it, like what have I done wrong?
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that, because in my work too, something that I always talk about is like, I always talk about like get your body into coherence, open your heart. And the reason that I say is like, when you open your heart tells your brain like, okay, it's time to heal. It's time to feel. It's time to imagine. It's time to create your future. So it makes perfect sense that on a fast too, you would have to get your body really regulated, especially when I've fasted before, like you sometimes have a lot of cortisol and like you have a lot of stress going through your body.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, it's like, what do we use to soothe ourselves? Food. 3 times a day? Yeah, food.
Yeah, literally.
So you take the food away, you don't have that constant soothing mechanism, everything's going to come up.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what's going to come up. To be honest, like most of my fasts have been quite peaceful emotionally and mentally. Definitely had my challenges, but they haven't been really super stressful or like traumatic. I don't have like a traumatic past or anything. But it will open up the body, the emotional body, to start moving a bit. And that's good. We want that. Like we want to free ourselves in every single way. Yeah. And fasting will open the door for that. But if you're not ready for that, if you're not prepared for that, if your environment isn't supportive and conducive for that, you'll go through the whole fast. You know, the term I use is like white knuckling it. You'll just hold on tight and you'll just get through it. Yeah. And you'll miss out on so much healing and transformation and growth. You know, but I'm saying this now. I didn't know any of that back then. I didn't know about brain and heart coherence, didn't know anything about the heart. So I just was like, copy paste from the first fast, everything will be great. And yeah, it wasn't the case. And then, so I just was like, all right, back to the drawing board. And I thought, I need to go bigger. Like I was like, I need to go bigger and fast longer. So the next year I went off by myself and fasted for 40 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. On just water, in Bali, in a jungle, in a hut with no walls, literally in like jungle, no homes around me, few other people on the land I was on, literally 2 or 3 other people. But I just went full, just like back to nature. And honestly, there was like, it was quite a beautiful experience. But again, it was one of those ones where I'm like, I went a little too hard here, you know?
Yeah.
However, it was not for nothing, because I had, now looking back in hindsight, I had actually like one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had on that fast. Because I got to day 30, and by that stage, like you imagine, I started that fast, similar weight to what I am now, maybe a little lighter. By day 30, I'd like lost a lot of weight. And so my emotions just started really coming to the surface.
Yeah.
And I remember like the littlest things would make me just bawl out, like bawl. I'm a bit of a crier anyway, sometimes. And, and just the littlest things would just set me off. Like my brother would be FaceTiming and he'd be like, I'm so proud of you. And I'd just be like, like I just start crying. And, but what I realize now is like my body was just, it was freeing itself. Like it was just at every instance it could, it was just letting go. And on the very last day, by day 30, I'd had a bunch of guys come and join me. Tyler, my mentor, had come and joined me, and a bunch of other guys. And on my very last day, we all walked up to the waterfall together. And we got into the waterfall, and they were supporting me and sort of celebrating me and helping me with my last day and breaking the fast and everything. And yeah, I remember just being under the waterfall and just like kind of taking it in and just taking in the magnitude of the day and everything. And I remember just coming out of the, like, honestly, it makes me emotional now just thinking about it, but I came out of the waterfall and like, I just started bawling my eyes out, like, so, but not even, there was no sadness. Like, that's the thing. There was no sadness at all. It was just like pure joy.
Probably proud of yourself.
Yeah. Just like relief, satisfaction, fulfillment, like love, so much love. And I remember just, I know it was love because my first instinct was just to hug everybody. Like I was walking up to everybody and just giving them like the biggest man hugs. And I'm like 60 kilos, I'm tiny. And I remember them all just coming up and giving me these big hugs. And then I got set up to break my fast, and Tyler comes and gives me, and because I'm filming it all, Tyler comes and gives me the coconut, and like that made me cry, and just, it was the most raw emotional feeling I'd ever had. And, you know, this is coming from like a rugby head, beer drinking, like pretty stock standard kind of dude, you know, who never really addressed his feelings, never really paid any attention to what he thought or, you know, none of that. And here I was just totally exposed but loving it. Like I remember doing a Instagram live because people were following me on Instagram. And I was talking to all these people, and I had like 40,000 people following me at this point. Cause like, I'm literally like the Truman Show. I'm like some dude in a jungle just not eating for 40 days. So there was like a lot of people tuning in. And I remember just talking to all these people, most of them strangers, on this thing, and I'm just chatting away, and I just saying to them, like, with tears boiling down, like rolling down my face, like, this is the most amazing feeling I've ever felt. And I wish all of you could experience this because it's the most free and like joyous I've ever felt. And I don't know why it's happening. Now I kind of understand it a bit better, but at the time I didn't understand it. I just knew it felt amazing.
Have you felt that feeling since?
I have actually. Yeah. I felt it in another fast in a different way. Do you want to tell that story?
Sure.
Okay, so I was doing another fast. This is like fast forward to this is the next water fast I did in 2022. I did a 20-day water fast at Tanglewood Health Retreat or Tanglewood Center in Costa Rica. It's no longer open. But at the time, it was the biggest or the second biggest fasting retreat in the world. So I was like, all right, enough of this like road jungle stuff. I want to go and fast with some professionals and some guidance. And ironically, it ended up being my hardest fast because I went there as a very different version of myself, a lot more mental and emotional challenges. And the fast didn't go very well. Certainly didn't go to plan. And I'm laying there reading this book and like been there for like 3 weeks. I think I'd broken the fast. I did 20 days. So I'm like laying in this bed, kind of feeling a bit like lost, whatever. But I'm reading this book, and the book was all about these two young kids, these teenagers who have been on this epic voyage together, this journey, and they've fallen in love. And right at the end, it's the end of the third book, and this giant journey, and they're saying goodbye to each other in this place that they met. And it's this unbelievable scene, and it's the emotions like really starting to well up in me. And as they're saying goodbye to each other and they're about to say goodbye forever, this thought just like, it's like someone just dropped it into my brain. The thought was, all that matters, no, love is all that matters. Literally in those words, love is all that matters. And as I thought that, I don't know what happened, but I had to put my book down because all of a sudden this energy moved up my body and into my heart.
Oh my gosh.
And I laid on my back and my body just started like shaking. And I remember just going, what is going on? And I was bawling my eyes out. And like, I'm in a hut, like at this retreat center, and there's people like around me or whatever. But I couldn't control it. I was just bawling and bawling and bawling.
Wow.
And I didn't really know what was going on, but now I have like obviously a better understanding of it. But again, like that was an amazing feeling. Like it wasn't scary. It didn't bother me. It was incredible. And again, it was like this, I know it came about because of what I had done in the last 3 weeks prior to like really strip parts of me down and expose the parts of me that were ready to feel and the emotions that were ready to come up. And I think in summary, what it's taught me is like deep down in my core, and I believe this goes for everyone, it's like deep down in our core, there is this part of us that just wants to express and feel love and joy and peace. And that is like who we are.
Yeah.
And there's different ways that we can get in touch with that version of ourselves. And fasting proved to be on a number of occasions a way for me to do that.
Wow.
But obviously there are other ways, a lot easier ways. So those were two of my probably biggest experiences. Also, just to kind of, people are probably wondering, did you ever heal your back? I did. So I no longer have any back pain. And I definitely think it's because of the number of fasts I've done. And I think it's also because I've learned just how to like manage my emotions and my mental state and just all aspects of my life much, much better and take a much more like holistic approach to things. Whereas before I was very dogmatic. It was like fasting, detoxification. I was coaching people at the same time, but I was also dogmatic in the way I coached. And now I'm like so much more open-minded and just like, the fasting's great, fruits are great, herbs are great, they're all great. But if you're in survival the whole time, it's not going to happen. Like you can't heal when you're in survival.
One of the biggest things that held me back when I was starting my spiritual journey was consuming a lot of content, but not actually doing the inner work. Information doesn't create transformation. And this is exactly why I created Alignment Academy, the membership, because even though this is a school for your soul to grow and evolve, if you're just consuming the information, but not actually doing your homework, your soul is not going to grow and evolve. Take it from me, who wasted years at an unfulfilling corporate job, struggling with the fear of being seen, struggling with the fear of judgment, crippling self-doubt. Then bam, as soon as I actually started doing the inner work, started doing energy healing, started doing the inner child, the shadow work, everything started to shift. I quit my corporate job. I overcame my fear of being seen. I started my business. I started making money. I started getting clients. Everything unfolded from doing the inner work. The membership is the only place on the internet that weaves the inner work, soul purpose, manifestation, and quantum healing. Inside, you'll find a library of 9 guided energy work sessions, topics like overcoming the fear of being seen or calling in your soul relationship, 8 heart work meditations to open your heart and reprogram your unconscious mind, 10 masterclasses, along with 3 to 4 live calls with me every month. We do Q&As, cacao ceremonies, podcast club, live energy healing, and so much more. It's $77 a month and you can cancel anytime. If you're ready to meet your soul fam and join us inside, you can find the link below.
So it sounds like your mission has kind of evolved because of these experiences of like opening your heart and feeling love and learning the power of regulation. And so I guess my question for you is now within your business, it sounds, and I've, watched my fair share of fasting content online. It is pretty 3D. How are you approaching it that's maybe different than that?
So like I said, I was very 3D, as you said at the beginning. 3 years ago, I had like a rock bottom moment at that fast I was talking about. That was the worst I'd ever felt, the most fearful, out of my mind. Just, it was the most rock bottom. I didn't realize I could get that bad. And my brother-in-law, who'd been pushing kind of just gently, like pushing Joe Dispenza at my direction for probably a year at least. And I was always just, I don't need that. I got fasting. Like I'll fast my way out of everything.
Wow.
I finally got home from Costa Rica and he was just like, right, get over to my place. We're going to watch Rewired, which is one of his series. And I remember just watching that first episode and just going, oh my God, this is for me. Like he's literally talking to me. And he said things like, you'll never heal when you're in survival, that you're biologically not designed to heal when you're in that state and all that. And I was like, man, that's the problem. I've literally been like that the whole time. So I went down a total rabbit hole of his work, a number of other people. And I just learned so much, so many of the missing pieces to my own journey and the things that I'd neglected for so many years. And now I bring all that into my work. Like I basically, and I think this kind of goes for most people, it's like you can only really share authentically the things that you've experienced yourself. And your passions. And so his work has become like paramount and so integral to everything that I do because it's become so integral to my life. So everybody I work with, a lot of them have never heard of him before, but I'll get them to watch his work. Not because I'm like, you need to become a meditator. I just need people to understand for their own good how important it is that they address what's going on inside, within their mind, within their heart, and learn that, healing doesn't just happen because we eat fruit or because we clean our body out. Healing happens, number one, because we change. And when we change, things in our life change as a result of that, as within, so without.
Absolutely. For anyone who might be curious, like, I don't know, their curiosity is sparked. Who is fasting good for?
Well, technically fasting is good for everybody. If you're a mammal, then you're designed to fast. But there are some individuals who wouldn't be suitable. So I'll just name them first because I think that's the responsible thing to do. Just so, people don't go and hurt themselves. But so pregnant and breastfeeding women shouldn't fast. I don't believe, and some people disagree with this, but I don't believe that anyone who has like a major eating disorder should prioritize fasting. I think they should prioritize their emotional state first, address the emotion, overcome the emotion. While you're doing that, you can start to bring in a little bit of fasting. That's fine. But certainly don't dive into anything huge because it could bring so much to the surface and it could make it worse. Then fasting, not only did it not work, but it also now becomes something that it doesn't work for me or it damaged me, So you got to be careful and responsible with how you approach it. And then there are some people who just have, they're kind of at the end of their life. And I see this in my work and it's sad. But some people who just don't have the vitality left and they don't have the willingness to live anymore. so fasting wouldn't be the right way. It's so interesting to see that actually when people do get to that stage of their life, they actually don't want food. So they're kind of going out that way anyway, which kind of really raises such an important part of what fasting really is. Because if fasting was as simple as don't eat and you heal, you'd think these people at the end of their life who stop eating, they would just all of a sudden improve. But it's so much more than just not eating. There's got to be like an intention behind it, a willingness. There's got to be a certain level of energy behind it.
Yeah. And I would say like spiritual energy too.
Totally.
Like I feel like, fasting is even mentioned in the Bible and to connect with God. And clearly you've had your moments with God, but just kind of knowing what you're even just saying now, it's interesting. It's like, yeah, there has to be some like life force behind it of intention to move that energy through.
Yeah. The best fasts I've had are the ones where I was super inspired. And I was like, there was a level of excitement about what I was doing and a curiosity and a gratitude. And because as you know, like those states of being carry a much higher level of energy than being in resentment or frustration or why me, victimhood. Like fasting can still help those people, but it's going to be a really hard experience and it's only going to give you a certain amount of benefit.
Yeah. So on a more positive note, who is fasting good for?
Right. Sorry. Didn't even answer your question. Fasting is great for anybody that's looking to heal from a chronic illness. Most, if not all, certainly most modern day chronic illnesses are diet and lifestyle related. So what does fasting do? It addresses your diet by completely erasing it. And in the process, you can also address some lifestyle things as well by educating yourself, figuring out what is the best thing for healing and how do we create an environment for healing. So anybody who has who's been diagnosed with a disease, anybody, like I've worked with people, all different kinds of cancer, from brain cancer to skin cancer to liver and colon cancer, essentially the cause is always the same underlying. And
which is what?
On a really basic level, on a fundamental level, it's a imbalance of chemistry and it's a lowering of frequency and vibration. Okay. And the two could go hand to hand, because if you lower your vibration and your frequency, your body's going to get out of balance chemically. And that's sort of the lowering of your vibration and frequency comes about through, let's call it like spiritual, mental, and emotional stress.
Yeah.
When it comes to the physical stresses, the environmental and toxic stresses that we put on our body, obviously that's going to change our chemistry as well. So as the body becomes really acidic, acid chemistry that builds in the body will start creating different kinds of symptoms. It could be skin, it could be liver, it could be anywhere in the body, because it all just depends on the location. And then, you go to a doctor and you present with a certain set of symptoms, they're going to give you a diagnosis. But the diagnosis is really just a name to label your symptoms, which is really quite misleading, because it makes people think I have this special, different issue that needs a very special and specific treatment.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It really needs the same thing. Someone with a tumor needs the same thing as someone with psoriasis. The difference between the two is one is skin related, the other is wherever the tumor is. But it's a build-up of toxic chemistry, toxic waste that the body is either trying to push out the skin. That's like an early onset sort of symptom that someone will experience earlier in their life. And then as a much more chronic down the line, decades later kind of symptom, a tumor will develop.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So let's actually talk about these maybe smaller symptoms, because I don't think my audience is super sick.
Yeah. Maybe
some people are, and this is going to be great for them. But what are some of the maybe smaller things that water fasting is good for that you see in your work?
So water fasting is great for digestive issues. Really, really good. I mean, for the obvious reason is you take food out of the equation, the digestive system gets a really big rest. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're getting out of the way and we're resting the body. So digestion improves always during fasting. So for constipation, I mean, how many people deal with constipation, right? Like everybody's dealt with it at some point. Some people do, like some people come to me, they're like, I go to the bathroom once a week or once every 2 weeks. And it's like, damn, like how are you functioning? Like that's quite chronic. But fasting is fantastic for those individuals, for people who have, skin issues, pain, inflammation, any kind of like itis, diagnosis like arthritis or dermatitis, colitis, sinusitis. There's a million, right? There's literally hundreds, I believe. Like itis just means inflammation.
Oh, yeah. So it will lower all inflammation.
Yeah. Fasting will lower inflammation. You can measure it. We see it in bloods all the time.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, something that is more acute. So if you have something that you've only been dealing with for like a week or 6 months or a year, maybe 2 years, like a short fast, like 7 to 10 days, maybe even 3, could resolve it. If it's something that's been building in the body for many years, or you've been dealing with it for many years, 5, 10, 20 years, it's going to take a little longer.
So moving a little bit away from fasting, you've said this thing plenty of times. It's like, what's the obsession with detoxification? Because you're always just like detoxing the body, detoxing, your body's trying to detox. So like, what's the obsession with detoxification?
Why is there such a big obsession?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because we know that our body eliminates. We have 4 channels of elimination. Most people know this. Like we poo, we sweat, and we breathe. we do wee-wees, we do poo-poos. So we have our channels, and they're vital to us.
Right.
Like if those channels no longer function, where does all the waste go?
Yeah.
Like if you lived in a house that all the sewage tubes, your piping and everything got blocked.
Yeah.
And you kept using the toilet, well, you're not going to live in there for much longer. You're moving out. We can't move out of this body, of this house.
Yeah.
So we got to keep everything clean. And that's also how we keep our chemistry in balance, right? Like the body's always producing metabolic waste. Yeah. Every cell of the body, we have 70,000 trillion cells. Did I say that right? We have many, many cells, right?
Don't get it wrong. How many do we have?
There's a lot. There's trillions. So, with that in mind, you like, that's where the whole detoxification thing comes from. But, people can get a little too obsessed with it, I think, at times. And it is a natural process. We shouldn't really have to think about it. It happens naturally. The issue is that we now, especially today in our modern society, we live so disconnected from nature. And like the foods that we eat, the lifestyles we live, the state of our nervous systems, when you're in survival, in parasympathetic or fight or flight, most people know it. One of the first things that the body shuts down is detoxification.
Wow.
Yeah. So the digestive system shuts down. All the blood from the visceral, or from our main organs, right, is shunted to our muscular system so we can fight or fight. And this is why people get constipated. They don't digest properly. This is why, what else? We also have a reproductive system in that area. It's like one of the major issues at the moment is reproduction, especially in women.
Yeah.
Are women stressed at the moment? You tell me. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying you're stressed, but like you obviously work with a lot of women.
Yeah. I mean, I think that overall women are living completely out of balance with how we're actually supposed to live, like, especially as I get more into like my cycle and like the phases of my cycle. And, especially in the West, it's work 9 to 5 and go work out before your 9 to 5. And then after work, go out to dinner. It's like, where is the regulation time? Where is the time for us? So I definitely think that overall, I mean, we don't have to go on a tangent about it, but women are stressed.
Yeah. Well, so 90% of my clients are women. So, and that's just because most of the people most of the world that are really trying to take their health back just tend to be women.
Yeah.
They're a lot more sort of proactive in that field.
Right.
So, one thing I see a lot is, and I have like literally since day one of doing this work, is women will come to me and the ones that are really honest with me, and not all of them are, maybe because I'm a male, they'll tell me about their menstrual cycle, and they'll tell me about, their discomforts, their PMS, their heavy flows. And one thing I see all the time is when we go through a cleansing process, we do a fast, or we eat fruits, we alkalize the body. The bleeding is less. People that they bleed less. It's less heavy. There's less PMS. The entire process just becomes a lot more comfortable. And it makes a lot of sense to me, because if we bring our body back into balance, that monthly cleansing cycle, which seems to be getting for some women very uncomfortable, would start to become more comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a representation of the body in general. Like if we clean the body out, the body will become a more comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
Less pain, less discomfort, higher levels of energy, better digestion, regeneration of tissue. Like we are supposed to regenerate. That's what people don't realize. Like we are literally supposed to regenerate, not just a cut if we cut our skin, but our liver regenerates, our thyroid,
right,
brain, everything regenerates. Like if we create the environment for it.
Wow. Amazing. One thing that I've heard you say is that like, I want to live to 120 years old.
Yeah.
And you are pretty dead set on living to 120.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are the things that you do daily, monthly, yearly? I don't know. Just what are the things that you feel like are adding to your lifestyle that you have now that are going to help you live to 120?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just also clarify, like it'd be cool to live to 120. It's kind of like a little bit of a side mission, side quest, I guess you could call it for me.
It's a bit of a mish.
Hey?
It's a bit of a mish.
It is a bit of a mish. I've got a long time to figure it out though. So there's a popular movement at the moment, or documentaries, and they're talking about these places in the world where they have the most centenarians.
Mm-hmm. The blue zones,
the blue zones, right? Yeah.
So it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I've watched it, yeah.
There's like 5 or 6 documentaries about it now. There's quite a lot. Yeah.
Really?
So there's quite a lot of information. There's human studies about these places, and these are the people in the world that live the longest. They live to 100, some live to 120, 130, but they're not just living long, they're living healthy.
Good quality of life.
Disease-free. Yeah, they don't have the same kind of modern day illness like we do.
Right.
They don't have the heart disease, the cancer.
Right.
Because they also don't, I won't say they don't go to the doctor at all, but that's not their authority on health.
Yeah.
Their authority in health is nature, good food, good community, passion, purpose. Such a big one, right? Like as we get older, do we still have a purpose? Do we even feel like we want to be around? So
can I say something on that? So my grandma's in the nursing home, and so sometimes my sisters and I will like look up studies and things to help them feel better, because my grandma is in the nursing home. And one of the things is that if an old person has like even a plant that they need to keep alive, that they live longer.
Wow, really?
So it's like you can give a purpose can be as small as like an animal or a plant that you need to keep alive. And so just interesting.
Yeah, and it's like just a plant. Imagine if you give them like a community.
Yeah.
And you give them an elderly role. Like elders are the wisdom keepers.
Mm-hmm.
If they're in good health, and they've got a lifetime of wisdom to share. So that's, these places are places like Japan, Okinawa, Japan, or Loma Linda, California. Another thing that these people do is they eat predominantly plant-based. So they eat very low levels of protein and animal protein, animal foods. Some of them don't eat any at all. They eat completely vegan. So that's one very commonality between them all. Another one is they eat...
all of them eat mostly plant-based.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Very, very low levels of animal food.
Wow.
Yeah. Animal food is a bit of a delicacy amongst these people. The Okinawans eat a lot of sweet potato, like a lot. I think it's like more than 50%. Yeah, I'm like, sweet potato is the best. Like they eat that. They eat tofu. Loma Linda, California are complete vegans. They're 7-day Adventist. And then there's other ones in Italy. There's other ones in Greece, Russia. Costa Rica. So the Costa Ricans in the Nicoya Peninsula, they eat lots of beans. So like lots of lentils, lots of beans, and like really low levels of protein. So like I think something like 70 grams of protein a day, and to put that into, and it's coming from plants. Some meats, but mostly plants. But to put that into context, like your average American, the sickest nation in the world. Can I say that?
Yeah. No, you totally
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry.
You're like the average American, the sickest nation in the world. Most of my audience is American.
Said with love.
Yeah, coming from an Aussie.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we're far behind too. I think we're like second. So we were like the most obese for a while too. Go the Aussies. But so yeah, I feel like I lost my train of thought now.
Sorry.
That's all right. So so the average American eats about 140 grams. So it's half, right? And the average American's getting it mostly, if not all, from animal-based foods.
And honestly, like that's probably on the low end. Like I know for myself,
it's the average, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like myself, that would be like when I was like in my macro counting, super high protein days, which I think we've all gone through that phase.
Yeah.
I was like, little old me was eating 140 grams. So
yeah,
that people are probably, especially men, are probably eating way more than that.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of protein.
In my 20s, I was having like 10 eggs a day. I was having almost a kilo of meat a day. I was big and strong and whatever, but yeah, I was protein obsessed. And, now I don't eat any meat. I haven't eaten meat in 10 years. And, I'm as strong as I've ever been. I don't struggle to build muscle. Like it's.
So I feel this is going to get a lot of pushback. Let's talk about protein.
Bring it on.
Like
I'm so used to it.
I know, but so you've been vegan for how many years?
10.
Okay, so you've been vegan for 10 years. You clearly have some muscles, looking good.
Thank you.
And like a lot of people are going to watch this and be like, no, but we need protein. No, but we need protein. What about protein? Like you do need protein to lose weight, to stay fit. And like, especially as a girl, and I know a lot of girls listen to this, like, there is a narrative, a matrix way of thinking that we have to eat protein, that protein is the way that we stay fit, that we are lean and we build muscle. So what would you have to say about that?
Yeah, I'd say it's coming from a misunderstanding, really. And there's also some sort of political, eco-social, something say that again. I'd say it's coming from a misunderstanding. And really, the body, what it wants is carbohydrates more than anything. Firstly, there's protein. We don't want protein. I think it's the important part to understand. What we want is amino acids. And amino acids are like the Lego blocks of protein. When you put all the amino acids together, you get protein. But all amino acids come from plants. So even the meat eaters, they're getting secondary protein from animals, but those animals have got it from plants. So the question comes like, well, what's the human design to get it from? Should we get it from animals, or is it better to get it from plants? This opens up a big can of worms because there's obviously a huge debate around this topic. For me, it was kind of simple when I looked at nature. I looked at my physiology, my body. I was like, well, I don't look like a carnivore. I have no instincts that a carnivore has. I don't want to tear down an animal and kill it with my hands, and I wouldn't be able to even if I could. Like I could kill an innocent animal if I wanted to, but I couldn't physically rip it apart and eat it with my mouth, and I have zero interest in doing that. So, when we look at our anatomy, we look at our digestive system, it's very different to that of a meat eater's. And then we look at like what people are doing, like the human studies, the people who live the longest, they're eating the least amount of protein from animals. And they're not even eating a lot of protein. So it's like, do we even need a lot of protein to survive? No, we don't. They've proved that we don't. What happens when we eat more? There's a lot of science, and if anyone wants to read about it, I'd encourage them to read a book called Proteinaholic. It's by Dr. Garth Davis. He talks about how the countries where people eat the most meat actually have the lower life expectancy and higher obesity rates.
Okay, so let me say that. Let me repeat that to make sure I heard it right. The countries that eat the most protein are the most obese?
Yeah, from animals. Yeah.
Most protein from animals
are
the most obese. Can you break that down for us?
Well, I mean, he's just looked at the human studies and he's found that, there's a movement, the low fat, high protein movement, and it's the fat loss, get slim movement, right? Like a lot of people think, I'm going to eat my protein to stay lean. But then he looked at the countries that were eating the most protein and found that they were the most obese. So obviously there's other factors that play. And I encourage everybody to go read that book, because honestly, it blew my mind and really opened up my eyes to a lot of things. But yeah, there's obviously other things at play as well. We've got to look at other areas of our life. But when it comes to protein, it just didn't make any sense to me that we would need that much, like, and that we would need to get it from animals. Like if all amino acids come from plants, why don't I just go get it from plants?
Yeah.
And all plants have it, like fruit has it in smaller amounts. Any food that has structure, it gets its structure from amino acids.
What would you say to someone who is like, yeah, but if I eat all carbs, if I eat all fruit and vegetables, like I'm going to gain weight.
You'll be super healthy.
I'm going to gain weight, or like I need my protein, because I know someone, like just from me and all my nutrition background. And when I say that, I mean like probably a lot of brainwashing, just like from the media and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I turned vegan, when I was vegan, I don't even know how long ago it was now, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Like one of my biggest things was like, if I eat all these carbs, like I think I'm going to gain weight though. So what are your thoughts on that?
I am quickly interrupting this episode to announce the sponsor of Alignment Academy podcast, the One Device. The One Device is a wearable device combining light and sound therapy to bring your body back into coherence naturally. This necklace is on the leading edge of frequency medicine. When you wear the One Device, it works with the law of entrainment to bring your vibration back into homeostasis, aka its highest vibration. Personally, I've been using it for my meditations or when I have a stressful day, and I honestly can feel such a difference. Not only can I drop into the quantum field so much easier, I also feel massively more regulated. When your nervous system is regulated, your body feels safe. And when your body feels safe, you're kind, you can take more action, you can imagine your future, you can heal, you can create. And all of these things are really important when you're creating your reality. If you want to get your own One Device, you can use the code Kristen to save $20. I'll put the link below.
So I think that came about because people were eating the wrong kind of carbs. I think that was where like this whole idea that like sugar makes us fat, and then, you know, people were eating a lot of processed foods. If you eat carbs from nature, particularly fruits, I challenge everybody to go and just eat fruit. Do it for a week. Do it for 3 days, but do it for a week. If you put on weight, I'll give you $100. Like everybody. Like it's almost impossible with fruit, interestingly. And I've tried it, believe me, all my clients do it. Everybody loses weight and they eat as much as they want. Yeah. So it's not the carbs. Like our body wants carbs. Our body runs on carbon. Carbon comes from carbohydrates. So our body takes carbon, combines it with oxygen and makes ATP. That's our main fuel source. So carbon is not the enemy, or carbs are not the enemy. They are actually our most primary fuel source. Our brain literally runs on fructose. Yeah. Science has proven this. It will convert glucose to fructose because fructose is the highest form of energy that our body can run on. So, you know, like when people are struggling with weight with carbs, I think it's because the combinations, they're eating carbs with proteins and fats. It's very confusing for our digestive system when you start combining food like that, because it wants to burn carbs, and it'll always prioritize carbs. But if you're eating high levels of fat and you're eating lots of protein, you've got this just washing machine of digestion, and just digestion suffers. We start storing body fat. We start storing toxins. We're holding fluid. Right. Fluid is edema. It's how our body buffers waste. Fat is how our body buffers waste. So, you know, we kind of have to pick a lane a little bit. We've got to lean more towards one than the other. Yeah. Unfortunately, people are leaning more towards protein, and it's honestly coming at the effect of their health, the detriment of their health.
So when you say that, can you
elaborate?
Yeah.
So protein creates, one of the two biggest differences between protein and carbohydrates is protein is a nitrogen-based chemistry, and carbohydrates is carbon. Carbon breaks down to a far more alkaline residue, and protein and nitrogen breaks down to a more acid residue. It's why when we eat high protein diets, you see things like uric acid increase. And you see this a lot. Uric acid is what causes a lot of pain in the body. People get like pinprick pain, and it damages the kidneys. You see things like creatinine going up, which is kidney breakdown. You see this in high protein diets, and you might even hear your doctor tell you, like a medical doctor say, if you've got high levels of creatinine or high uric acid, eat less protein, eat less red meat, because and that will help bring your levels down. Because that is the nature of the chemistry. And honestly, like that's kind of what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's like we can't outrun chemistry. Chemistry is everywhere. Everything we put into our body is changing our chemistry. Every thought and feeling we have is changing our chemistry. But the food stuff's a lot more simple. We can just choose black or white. I'm going to eat that or I'm going to eat that. And every decision we make is essentially affecting how our body thrives or doesn't. So
basically, to surmise it for everyone, when you eat carbs, it creates more alkaline environment, which is the healing environment for the body. And then when you eat a lot of protein, it's creating an acidic environment, which is where disease, where inflammation, where, probably like swelling, things like that.
All
are
of it.
Created. Yeah.
Literally, you could go through every single symptom that anyone has ever experienced, ever. And it all traces back to an acidic environment, always, because that's the only thing that can create disease. Disease is just like a lack of ease, or discomfort is just a lack of comfort. All of that comes about through a imbalance of chemistry.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time. As soon as someone starts eating the right foods, even before they've addressed their emotions, their thoughts, any of that stuff, as soon as they start eating the right foods and detoxing their body, things start to get better.
Yeah.
Digestion improves, their skin improves, their period, their menstrual cycle improves.
That's probably too why people start juicing and eating vegan on like when they have cancer and stuff, like the cancer heals.
Yeah, absolutely. Like diet is a big part of what makes us sick and what makes us healthy.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
So if someone wanted to just start, if they like, maybe their curiosity is sparked from this conversation about protein and they want to start eating more natural from the earth, where could they start with just?
Yeah. So like the old me would have just been like, go and eat fruit and just eat heaps of fruit and don't stop eating fruit. I've come to learn now that like there's levels to this, right? Like you can't take someone who's eating a standard American diet and Big Macs every day and just tell them to eat fruit.
I feel like my audience is probably not eating Big Macs every day, but they're probably like eating the American healthy girl diet. So tons of protein, maybe a cheat day every once in a while, some alcohol. Like that's probably where if I had to guess, where everyone's at. Yeah.
Well,
brainwashed with the protein stuff and just, if I had to guess.
So I'd say like rather than looking at focusing too much on like I need to stop eating this, let's just look at like what should you be eating? What can you eat more of? And it's called like the crowding out effect. If you start eating more fruits, more vegetables, whole foods is really the key.
Yeah.
Whole food plant-based diet has been shown scientifically to reverse, I don't want to say all, but many diseases, illnesses, which are diet and lifestyle related. And
I'll say for girls too, like inflammation, a lot of inflammation, bloating,
totally,
a lot of that. And I'm saying this, guys, from like personally, recently I've been eating very plant forward and like lots of fruit, lots of salads, lots of greens. And I feel like my weight has been super stable. I feel my inflammation is down. I feel like my digestion is better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like there's so much to gain from that. And there's, like I said, there's levels to it. So like people can start with really simply just leaning towards a plant-based diet, whole foods, obviously minimizing processed foods. I don't really recommend eating, your mock meats and all that kind of stuff. I don't think they're particularly good for us. So stick to the whole foods. But if you really want to go the next level, fruit is really the ultimate.
Yeah.
Fruit is the it is the king of detoxification, and it's the most alkaline food on the planet. And really, and again, this is a real point of contention, but it is, I believe, the food that we are supposed to consume. I believe we're frugivores by nature. If you look at the frugivores in nature, the chimps and bonobos, we have, I think it's like 98% similar DNA, same hands, same teeth, literally the same teeth. It's crazy. Like it's.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Did you know my favorite animal is orangutans?
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've watched hours of orangutans on YouTube.
Have you ever like touched one or played with one?
No, most of
That'd be
them don't
fun.
live like here.
You wouldn't want to do that in the wild though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because they're pretty.
But they're
that's the thing.
so
They're super
cute.
strong. People don't. It's like they eat fruit, and they are pound for pound. They're so
Elephants eat fruit. I mean, they eat vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The longest lived animals eat plants. So like
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. I actually looked this up the other day, and I think there was like an owl that lives really like even longer, and it eats meat. So I was like, probably should throw that in there as well. But like, look, forget about the animals because they don't share the same anatomy as us. Look at the human studies. Look at what people are doing, what they've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, show me, and I genuinely say this. This is not like a pushback or a in your face to the meat eating community, because I was a big meat eater for so many years. It's like, show me the communities in the world that are eating high animal based diets and living the longest or living longer than these blue zones. Like, they don't exist.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. Like, you can't ignore this.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to live your longest, or if you want to live your healthiest, you want to live your best life, like, do your research. And then ultimately your best professor is going to be your experience.
Love it.
So go and try it yourself, do your research and do it safely, get a coach. And your experience will be your best teacher, and you'll end up learning so much, and you'll find your own truth.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And even from a spiritual standpoint, this is the last thing I'll say is like, I think it's interesting every time I do plant medicine for like days or weeks after, especially right after I don't want food at all. But when you do want food, it's like you want citrus, you want oranges, you want fruit, you want like really light foods that are alive. Like meat icks me out for weeks after I do plant medicine. I'm like, oh, like that does not sound good, eating a burger or something super heavy. So I think it's just interesting, like, from my spiritual experience, what the body gravitates towards when you raise its vibration up super high and you're a lot of light and you're literally just got back from the plant realms. It's like you want really alive food. You don't want dead food. So that's my little spiritual ending.
But it's so true. Like, fruit is the highest vibrational food.
Vibration, yeah.
It's the closest thing to the sun we can eat.
Yeah,
It's cooked by the sun.
It's cooked by the sun.
Yeah.
The sun is literally cooking.
It has all the different
all day,
colors
every
of the
day.
spectrum of the rainbow.
Yeah.
And we get all that nutrition
So
from
cool.
all those colors that comes directly from the sun.
Sun be busy.
The sun be real busy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sinclair, for coming on,
Yeah,
sharing
thanks for having
all
me.
your fasting. What do you have coming up? How can people work with you? Do you have any fasts that people can join? Give us all the tea.
Yeah. So I have a fast coming up pretty soon, actually. It's a group online fast. It's a 3-day water fast. It's actually perfect for anybody who's looking to sort of wet their feet a little bit and do it in a community. It'll be a 9-day program because the first 3 days are going to be prep, which is so important. And it's going to be basically like a day of raw, plant-based, a day of fruit and a day of juice. 3 days fast, which I will facilitate the entire thing. There'll be daily meetings and webinars and meditations, nervous system regulation, like everything I've learned. Yeah, everything I've learned, bringing it in to give to people. And then we break the fast kind of similar to how we went in. So we come out with juices for a day, fruit, and then raw food. But, everyone gets a handbook and lots of information, lots of guidance. I think it's going to be great for people. I've seen a lot of people heal from these shorter fasts done regularly. So it's kind of a new mission of mine is to offer something to people who can't take that much time out, but give them a place and a space and a community where they can go and fast together. I have a fasting retreat coming up in October here in Bali. It's going to be a longer, more extended water fast. I'm also offering coconut water fasting to people who are a bit more called to that.
Very good for digestion,
very good for digestion, yeah.
It's healed a lot of my constipation recently, just so you guys know. Very, very into coconut water fasting.
Yeah, it's very true. So that's in October. But people can find me on Instagram. I go by my name, Sinclair Fisher Gray. And they can also watch my documentary as well, which I recommend to anybody who's interested in fasting.
Amazing.
Yeah, and just reach out.
Amazing. We'll have everything linked below: his documentary, his Instagram, his fasting information for his programs. And yeah, thank you so much, Sinclair.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here with us for another week. It's so much fun to spend Mondays with you. And whenever you're listening, it's just fun to hang out. So thanks for always hanging out with me. And I will see you guys next week for another episode. Bye.